There are dozens of Catholic religious orders. These groups of men and women live in community of consecrated life, with members that profess solemn vows. Each individual order has their own particular character, or charism, attracting different people with the same common style of prayer, work, and way of life. The religious orders are as rich and as varied as individual people are, meaning that there is a place for everyone called to religious life or simply seeking inspiration. However, no matter their variations, the goal remains the same: to seek Christ and to lay down their lives for Him. Here are the largest religious orders within the Catholic Church. The Franciscans are a group of religious orders of the Catholic Church. Founded in 1209 by the Italian Saint Francis of Assisi, these orders include 3 independent orders for men, the Order of Friars Minor being the largest contemporary male order. They also include orders for nuns such as the Order of St. Clare and the Third Order of St. Francis, open to male and female members. They adhere to the teachings and spiritual disciplines of the founder and of his main associates and followers, such as Clare of Assisi, Anthony of Padua, and Elizabeth of Hungary. Franciscan theology conforms to broader doctrine with the Catholic Church, but involves several unique emphases. Franciscan theologians view creation, the natural world, as good and joyous, and avoid dwelling on the stain of original sin. Francis expressed great affection towards animals and inanimate natural objects as fellow inhabitants of God's creation. The rule of St. Francis calls for members to practice simple living and detachment from material possessions in emulation of Jesus' life and earthly ministry. The simple lifestyle helps members of the order, in whichever branch, to experience solidarity with the poor and destitute. Among Catholic religious, Franciscans have proportionally reported higher ratios of stigmata and have claimed proportionally higher ratios of visions of Jesus and Mary. Francis of Assisi himself was one of the first reported cases of stigmata. Today, there are approximately 650,000 Franciscans in 110 countries, including nearly 35,000 Franciscan friars, 60,000 cloistered religious women, and 400,000 secular Franciscans. The Order of Preachers, also known as the Dominican Order, is a Catholic mendicant order that was founded in France by a Castilian priest named Dominic de Guzman. It was approved by Pope Honorius III in December of 1216. Members of the order, who are referred to as Dominicans, generally display the letters OP after their names, standing for Ordinis Predicatorum, meaning of the Order of Preachers. Membership in the order includes friars, nuns, active sisters, and secular Dominicans. Founded to preach the gospel and to oppose heresy, the teaching activity of the order and its scholastic organization placed it in the forefront of the intellectual life of the Middle Ages. The order is famed for its intellectual tradition by having produced many leading theologians and philosophers. The Dominican order came into being during the Middle Ages, at a time when men of God were no longer expected to stay behind the walls of a cloister. Instead, they traveled among the people, taking as their examples the apostles of the Church. Dominic sought to establish a new kind of order, one that would bring the dedication and systematic education of the older monastic orders to bear on the religious problems of the burgeoning population of cities, but with more organizational flexibility than either monastic orders or the secular clergy. The Order of Preachers was founded in response to a then-perceived need for informed preaching. Dominic's new order was to be trained to preach in the vernacular languages. Dominic inspired the members of his order to develop a mixed spirituality. They were both active in preaching and contemplative in study, prayer, and meditation. The Dominican order has produced many well-known saints within the Catholic Church. Most notably, Thomas Aquinas and Catherine of Siena, both doctors of the Church, were Dominicans in their age. Today, there are Dominicans in over 100 countries, and some 6,500 friars, 4,000 nuns, 35,000 active sisters, and over 100,000 lay Dominicans worldwide. The Society of Jesus, also known as the Jesuit order, is a religious order of clerics regular of pontifical rite. It was founded in 1540 by Ignatius of Loyola and 6 companions, with the approval of Pope Paul III. The society is engaged in evangelization and apostolic ministry in 112 nations. Members of the Society of Jesus make profession of perpetual poverty, chastity, and obedience, and promise a special obedience to the sovereign pontiff in regard to the missions, and to accept orders to go anywhere in the world, even if required to live in extreme conditions. This was so because Ignatius, its leading founder, was a nobleman who had a military background. Accordingly, the opening lines of the founding document declared that the society was founded for whoever desires to serve as a soldier of God, to strive especially for the defense and propagation of the faith, and for the progress of souls in Christian life and doctrine. Jesuits are thus sometimes referred to colloquially as God's soldiers. Jesuit missionaries established missions around the world from the 16th to the 18th century and had both successes and failures in Christianizing the native peoples. The Jesuits have always been controversial within the Catholic Church and have frequently clashed with secular governments and institutions. Beginning in 1759, the Catholic Church expelled Jesuits from most countries in Europe and from European colonies. Pope Clement XIV officially suppressed the order in 1773. In 1814, the Church lifted the suppression. Cardinal Jorge Bergoglio of Argentina was elected Pope Francis on March 13, 2013, and is the first Jesuit to be elected Pope. With 16,000-plus priests, brothers, scholastics, and novices worldwide, the Jesuits are the largest male religious order in the Catholic Church. The Benedictines are a mainly contemplative monastic religious order of the Catholic Church for men and for women who follow the rule of Saint Benedict. They were founded in 529 by Benedict of Nursia, a 6th-century Italian monk who laid the foundations of Benedictine monasticism through the formulation of his rule. Despite being called an order, the Benedictines do not operate under a single hierarchy, but are instead organized as a collection of autonomous monasteries and convents, some known as abbeys. A sense of community has been the defining characteristic of the order since the beginning. This is evident in the solemn vows candidates joining a Benedictine community are required to make, such as a vow of stability, to remain in the same community, and to adopt a conversion of habits, and obedience to the community's superior. A tight communal timetable, the horarium, is meant to ensure that the time given by God is not wasted, but used in God's service, whether for prayer, work, meals, spiritual reading, or sleep. Although Benedictines do not take a vow of silence, hours of strict silence are set, and at other times silence is maintained as much as is practically possible. Social conversations tend to be limited to communal recreation times. Dom Pierre Perignon was a French Benedictine monk who made important contributions to the production and quality of Champagne wine in an era when the region's wines were predominantly still red. Popular myths, frequently but erroneously, credit him with the invention of sparkling champagne, which did not become the dominant style of champagne until the mid-19th century. The famous Champagne Dom Perignon is named for him. The remains of the monastery where he spent his adult life is now the property of that winery. Today, there are about 400 monasteries around the world, with about 7,500 monks and 13,000 nuns.